There you go. There you go. There you go, baby. There you go.
One call in the Highway Street area of the previous car.
Then the second car parked right there. Parked in the same spot.
I apologize. This is really difficult to cover.
I guess we got a gut feeling, and we thought that the officials would be leaving the scene pretty soon.
On February 22nd, 2023, Nathacha Augustin went for a drive with a male friend who picked her up around 10:30 a.m. As they hung out in his white Hyundai and used green leaf, he saw his cousin, 19-year-old Keith, walking on Hastings Street, but he appeared to be sad and asked for a ride. The teen got into the rear passenger seat behind Augustin, and less than a minute later, bang! The man pulled over and called 911 as Keith fled on foot. And blood gushed from Nathacha's face. Detectives found the car in the middle of the crime scene in the 6100 block of Hialeah Street with the passenger door open. Heartbreakingly, Nathacha, who was initially misidentified as being a 20-year-old, was pronounced gone at the scene. Investigators spent hours in the neighborhood speaking with people to piece together clues. The driver later recounted what he witnessed to police and informed them that Keith did not know Nathacha and he didn't hear any dispute between them before the teen allegedly opened fire.
It's around here all the time. And I've been sitting out here about 2-3 hours and we heard nothing at all.
When I came back from out the shower, this when all this tape was up and it was a whole bunch of cars. I see fire trucks and stuff. So it's like, I didn't hear any.
Around 5 hours later, just after 5 p.m., a Spectrum News 13 crew was on Hialeah Street covering the incident which claimed Augustin's life. As the 911 calls bombarded dispatchers, emergency services were sent back to the scene.
QB advisory, and multiple got one call in the Hialeah Street area of the previous call.
A man had approached the unmarked vehicle where one of the reporters, identified as 24-year-old Lyons, was sitting and began discharging a firearm at the man whose passenger door was open as he used his laptop. 29-year-old photojournalist Jesse Walden was standing outside nearby. Unfortunately, Lyons succumbed to his injuries while Walden was critically injured and underwent emergency surgery. Family members and colleagues at Spectrum 13 remembered Lyons as a passionate journalist who served his community. Walden spoke with police the same evening, though he remained in critical condition.
A white car. When I came out, the doors were open. There was a young black man screaming, and there was a lady on the floor, and the police officers were doing the first aid.
Terror wasn't finished raining down on the Orlando community, however. The same man, who was later confirmed to be Keith, walked to a home on Harrington Street about a block away following discharging at the reporters. He busted through the open door, and in a matter of seconds, all hell broke loose. He released several discharges, injuring 2 people, then he was gone again. They were rushed to Orlando Regional Medical Center, where sadly, 9-year-old Tyonna Major passed away, and her mother Brandi was treated for a wound to the arm prior to being discharged later that night. While Brandi was physically stable, the entire family was emotionally warped. They were devastated by the apparent random attack.
A witness we spoke with described the moments after.
He's like, fire. He's like, call the police, and there's no one around. And so I run over there. I was speaking to the 911 operator, and they're like, this is what you do. So I was telling people, hey, go get a blanket, put some pressure.
It's when I look out the window, I see the young black man walking right there with the gun in his hand. He had black and black and dread sticking up. Then the second car parked right there, parked in the same spot.
Orlando says the news team parked in the same spot where the first murder happened.
He was right there. He didn't shoot me. I'm blessed to be alive. When I looked to my left, I saw the one guy holding his groin, bleeding and shaking. And I screamed at him, did you get shot? And he said, yeah. So I ran over there. And then I called 911, put the towel on the wound, and kept pressing and kept screaming, sir, please listen. Sir, can you hear me? I said, please, Father God, give him strength. Please, Father God, save this man. And then the police came. I got up from the ground and I came home because it was too much. I held him and I cried. You know, it's sad because I've never seen this in my life. I never seen nobody get shot.
I apologize. This is really difficult to cover. It is very emotional here at ORMC. I'm not even going to turn the camera because there are people here who knew that reporter. This is every reporter's absolutely worst nightmare. We go home at night afraid that something like this will occur. And that is what happened.
And when we got there, my photographer and I, we decided to leave before the 4 o'clock live shot that we were going to do about this homicide because I guess we got a gut feeling, and we thought that the officials would be leaving the scene pretty soon, and that's when we made the decision to leave as well, out of an abundance of caution and for concern for our safety. And when we made it here to the sheriff's office, obviously that's moments after, that's when we got the call about where again 4 people were hit and sadly 2 people have died.
Later on the evening of the senseless tragedy, Keith was arrested and charged with first-degree fatality in Nathacha's passing. Several witnesses were interviewed and identified 19-year-old Keith Melvin Moses as the assailant. Video footage of him at the scene was also obtained. Authorities expected to charge Moses for the additional incidents. Orange County Sheriff John Mina commended the WFTV news crew who was there, witnessed the incident, and stayed on scene rendering aid until deputies arrived. Body camera footage was immediately released by the sheriff's office. It showed Keith apparently resisting arrest. After deputies took him to the ground, Moses repeatedly and dramatically yelled that he couldn't breathe and that deputies were trying to unalive him. The 19-year-old was in possession of a .40 handgun, which was found empty and hot to the touch. Law enforcement inferred that the firearm would likely connect Moses to the incident.
Get on your face. Get on your fucking face. Get on your face. Get on your fucking face. They killing me. They killing me. Roll the fuck over me. They killing me. They killing me. They killing me. Let me go. 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 Hold on, Andy. Hold on. Hold on, I gotta see it. I gotta see it. I got it. That's Antley's on. Relax, man. All right, we got it secure. Relax. Hey, all you guys coming up. Relax. The other direction. Relax. That way. Don't secure that whole area. I can't breathe. Down there. It needs to be top. I can't breathe. He walked up from down there. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. We're gonna help you up, okay? I can't breathe. Roll on the side real quick. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. You made me on some drugs. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. We're gonna help you up, man. We're gonna help you. I can't breathe. You may be on some drugs. He's getting you up. He's getting you up. Hey, good job, Ellie. I saw it right there, and I seen him like throwing his hands up and stuff. I'm gonna cut it off. I'm gonna cut it out.
Oh, use the back. Hey, I got gloves. Hey, use the back side of this. It'll cut the fabric. Like rip the fabric with this.
I got gloves.
1569. You guys got it?
Yeah, you got it. Put gloves on. Watch out. You got the zero. It's hot still.
It's hot still.
Watch the
Sheriff Mina also shared that Keith was taken to a hospital claiming he was injured, where he fought with hospital staff and had to be restrained. He was then transported to the sheriff's office for an interview where he pretended to be asleep and was uncooperative. During the ordeal, officers claimed he physically resisted and had to be subdued. When it was all said and done, the police said that the suspect was not talking to them at all.
Because Moses is not speaking to us, we're unable to determine a motive at this time. It is unclear why he shot the first victim. It's unclear why he targeted those folks in the news media, and it's unclear why he shot a 9-year-old and her mother.
Tyonna's father, Tokyo Major, described his daughter as a very intelligent child and a skilled gymnast who could have competed in the Olympics one day. The next, Gabby Douglas. She was at the top of her 3rd grade class at Pine Hills Elementary School and reading at a 5th grade level. He remembered Tyonna as a light to everyone that knew her. GoFundMes were set up by the child's father and an additional one by his co-workers. The links are in the description of this video.
I think what stings is the fact that she was only 9, so she had her full life to live.
Julie Schroeder shows me photos of Tyonna Major that she saved on her phone from over the years. Like this one she snapped of Tyonna when she was just a toddler. They were all at a hockey game together. Julie has worked with Tyonna's dad for nearly a decade.
If you know this family, they are so kind and so sweet and so loving. So just for something like this to happen to such a good family, that's what stings the most.
Julie tells me it was just a couple months ago when they were all at SeaWorld.
Being a new mom, I really look up to their family as a really amazing stepping stone for us to kind of follow. She loved deeply. When you were around her, she always hugged you and she always referred to you as Mrs. and Mr. and Mrs. because respect was very big in their family. She was so kind, and she was so sweet, and she just reflected her parents so much.
In a message to the school, the principal, Latanya Smothers, described Tyonna as a kind and beautiful young girl with an infectious smile, adding that she would be missed dearly. On February 24th, the school's faculty and students got together for a balloon release and blew bubbles in honor of the 9-year-old. Superintendent Maria Vasquez posted to Twitter reacting to the tragedy. She spoke of her disbelief and anger regarding the senseless viol. Following the arrest, Jesse Walden also released a video message update from the hospital. He recalled the moment he realized what was happening.
It's just this unprovoked, senseless, random violence that no one could have saw coming. Basically, I'm a photographer, and I went out with my reporter to go do a live shot. There was a shooting at 11:30 in the morning, and a woman was shot in her car. So we rolled out there to go do a live shot at 4 o'clock. The crime scene had already wrapped up, so we had no real clue where the car was previously. And apparently I ended up parking exactly where that car was before. And as I'm about to open my trunk, I hear, and I feel that I get hit feel some pain in my groin. And I turn around because I'm like, oh, there must be a drive-by going on. And I see that he got me. I was assuming he had a house or something behind me, and I just happened to catch a bullet. But he kept shooting at me, so I ducked behind the wheel of my car, and he walked forward and shot into my car. That ended up striking my reporter, Lyons. Then a photographer at another station ran over and rendered aid to me and actually helped to put pressure on me and, got his hands all bloody, like keeping me.
The sheriff confirmed that all of the incidents were connected and alleged Moses was solely responsible. The teen waived his initial court appearance the day following his arrest and was ordered to remain in jail on no bond, to have no contact with any witnesses and family members, and to not possess firearms, knives, or weapons. When asked if Moses was experiencing a mental health episode, Sheriff Mina said the suspect may have been under the influence, as deputies noted his eyes were dilated. He quickly followed by saying that such a case didn't excuse the fatalities of members of the community. As of this video, it is unclear how the 19-year-old obtained the firearm used. A review of his record showed a lengthy juvenile criminal history, including domestic violence, firearm charges, aggravated assault, burglary, resisting an officer, and grand theft charges. They dated back to January 2018, when he was 14 years old, and stretched through 2022. Authorities said that Keith is a known gang member, but the discharge incidents were not related to such. In November 2021, he was arrested for violation of his imposed conditions and possessing less than 20 grams of green leaf, a misdemeanor. On April 28, 2022, he was arrested on a charge of failure to appear in court. The case was ultimately dropped. When the public inquired as to why Moses wasn't in custody with such a criminal record, State Attorney Monique Worrell said that under current law, the Department of Juvenile Justice had jurisdiction when a child was sentenced. This indicated that neither the court nor the state attorney's office had a say in what ultimately is the program or the length of time that a child is kept in a program. She further noted that the suspect's only adult offense was a green leaf possession, which her office did not charge him with because of the low likelihood that they'd be able to successfully prove the case.
Regarding the individual who is charged with these offenses, I want to respond to that now because there has been a lot of conversation about, well, why was he on the street? When you have a quantity that low, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement does not test the substance, and that means the state attorney's office cannot prove the case. Our system was not designed to deal with children being the perpetrators of violent crime.
Let's start with the news crew that was on. Are you getting any sense that they were targeted?
No, and I went out to the scene, and what I saw was an unmarked news vehicle. So it did not appear to be a news vehicle. There's also information that the camera that the videographer had was locked and secured in the trunk. Additionally, Keith Moses walked by another news crew, and that news crew vehicle was marked. So it's unclear why he shot this news crew, and so that's one of the things that we're trying to figure out.
The day following the incident, community leaders had gathered at the Experience Christian Center to discuss ways to curb firearm violence in Orange County. Following the gathering, Sheriff Mina gave another update. As of this video, it's not clear what motivated the incidents, and Moses appeared to have no direct connection to Augustin, the journalist, Tyonna, or her mother. I will be following the outcome of this case, so be sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. I wish those wounded physically and emotionally a speedy recovery. May the family and friends of Tyonna Major find solace in the happy memories, and may her soul rest in perpetual peace. My thoughts and prayers are also with the families and friends of the other victims in this case, and I do hope that Lyons also rests in perpetual peace. Thank you.